So yeah, so we want to just talk about that, and there's no script. It's more free flowing. I feel like the you get better conversations that way anyway. I mean, we get off on tangents from time to time, but we get back to it. We get back to it, and I try not to get too petty. Um,
Nice.
Yeah, that pettiness was a 5. I agree. That was only a 5. You mention names, then we bump up to a 10, but you're good. It's 5.
I mentioned no names.
Exactly.
I
You're
was just
clear.
I was just saying in general. All right, in
Wait,
general.
on a 50 Cent level of pettiness, where are we?
No, we ain't 50. We ain't 50. We ain't up there. We ain't calling people out and say, hey, bro, you owe me money. Like they owe me. Nah, we ain't there. I was just saying that some like we can get into this later, but I was just saying that some people I've seen some people who were researchers who were decent lifters and like kind of switched their whole careers into fitness and lifting and like being a power lifter, which being a power lifter doesn't pay anything. It's just
Mm.
it's just fun. It's just a good time. But I mean, if you have sponsors and stuff, sure. But like your shelf life is as long as your body holds up, pretty much. And
Mm.
that's all I was just saying. But then I said I was like, well, maybe they just wasn't good at science. Maybe science just wasn't their thing. See, you're laughing, Coach.
Yeah.
Oh my God! But yeah, 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 yeah.
Nice.
I didn't
All
say
right.
any names.
To each their own, right?
Exactly. I didn't say that. I didn't say no names. Bet, 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 bet. All right, fellas. Everybody ready? Yeah, y'all. Yeah. Rick and Morty back there ready? All right.
Oh, yeah, we're good. I had to change the angle so you got closer to that and you could see it all.
I appreciate it. I do. I do.
I like it. I
Shoulda-
like it.
I should have brought my J. Cole Kendrick Lamar painting in here.
Mm.
Yeah, love that thing. Love that thing.
That's a
It-
classic one.
oh yeah.
I think I remember that one. You posted it one time a while back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With the DNA strands and the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, my homeboy back in
Mm.
DC when I was living there did it for me before I left. It was dope. It was
Mm.
dope. It was dope. All right, man. Let's get into the drop, huh? All right. All right. Welcome everybody back to another episode of At the Bench. I am here with Trevor Kojo, and we have a special guest today. I wish I knew how to do the little drum roll thing. I need to figure that out. One of these days, I need to figure out how to. I'm getting better at the audio things, but like I still haven't figured out how to put sounds and stuff in there. Give me time. Give me time. I'm almost there. But let me introduce the Hip Hop MD. Thank you for joining us today, bro. I really appreciate it, man. It's great to
Yeah.
have you on. You have an amazing platform. We started following each other early, and I think you had like a couple hundred followers, and then, bro, you have blown up. I mean, you said you haven't blown up, but I feel like you've blown up. You've blown up. Once you got a K next to your following, that means you've blown up. That means you got it somewhere, bro. Uh,
Appreciate it. Appreciate
Oh
it.
no, no problem, bro. But
Mm.
I so let's like really dive into it, man. When did you start this? Where did the idea really come from?
Yeah. Yeah. No, first of all, thanks for having me, man. And like I said earlier, yeah, we've been following each other for a minute. So it's good to connect. I think that's the cool thing about at least having these virtual platforms that we have a ability to actually connect with people that we otherwise would never see in person, So I appreciate you reaching out to me. But yeah, no, it's kind of crazy journey for the Hip Hop Science platform. It's a super roundabout journey. My background's in civil engineering. I went to school at University of Washington in Seattle. Go Huskies for all my dogs out there. But I was always had a huge passion for science, right? I was always a science nerd. I actually went to school with the goal of going to wildlife biology. That was like my passion. I was always into the natural sciences. So I used to do outdoor explorations. I used to catch snakes and frogs, and like just used to be in love with the ecosystems. That was like my passion. And then I got into school and I started connecting with a bunch of older peers and people in the engineering fields. And everybody was like, you got to do engineering. There's no money in the natural sciences. You can't make money being a wildlife biologist. So I was like, I got to go where the money's at, you know? So I ended up doing civil environmental engineering. And to me, that was kind of at least a cross match where I was still working in the environmental side. I was able to take a lot of environmental classes and still kind of be in that wheelhouse. And so, yeah, I graduated and I worked after school with the engineering firm for a number of years, doing like heavy infrastructure projects, stadiums, condominiums, high rises, rental car facilities, did a bunch of Microsoft projects, built the headquarters for Nintendo out in Redmond, built the Seattle rental car facility at the airport. A lot of big name projects, which was pretty cool. But at the same time too, while I was doing engineering work, I was always into music. So music was always super passion of mine. I'd been working as an artist pretty much since junior high. And I came in through from like the underground scene, right? I used to do battle raps. I used to perform with a lot of different underground artists. And I'd been performing with a bunch of artists, mainstream artists and stuff since like high school, you know? And so I went to school, I was still doing music in school. Afterwards, I was still doing music, and some opportunities opened up. And for me, it was kind of like, I got to go where my passion's at, you know? So I made a leap of faith and I left Seattle and I moved down here to Los Angeles, which is where I'm at now. And been doing a lot of music work, and that kind of translated into some acting work, some acting opportunities opened up. So I was been heavy into the entertainment scene for a number of years, but I always wanted to find a way to still be able to give back and still actually showcase my love for science, right? Because I was always that guy that was always dropping random science knowledge in the most random situations, right? Even within music, and my music definitely was not like science based, you know, I always kind of had that kind of separation. But, you know, in my friend circles and different things like that, I was always that guy just dropping random science facts. And really the Hip Hop Science platform came about as just a way for me to, you know, kind of be my true authentic self, right? I was able to infuse hip hop, I was able to infuse entertainment, and then my love for science as well. And I also really wanted to find a way to be able to give back. You know, I had a lot of support, a lot of people that kind of mentored and helped me get to where I was at. And I wanted to find a unique way to encourage more minority and youth involvement into the STEM fields. And really started out as like a sketch idea. I played this like random hip hop MD character who just drop random science facts here and there and be kind of this quirky, cool, but nerdy kind of character. And it eventually snowballed into what it is now, which is this educational platform. I do a lot of STEM outreach work with organizations. I work with K through 12 students. I work with young professionals, college graduates, graduate students, corporations, doing D&I work, all sorts of different things. And obviously a lot of work on social media and my YouTube videos and different things like that. But it's been cool just kind of seeing it gravitate and seeing a lot of momentum building. And especially now over the past couple of years, I'm sure you've seen there's been a big push, you know, for interest in the STEM fields and a big push to get more participation into the STEM fields, especially for our youth. And so I think I just kind of hit the wave right at that good time. And I do it from a really unique, different way that other people don't do it, you know, which is infusing that hip hop, pop culture, and it's more so references, right? It's a way for it to be palatable and a way for people to connect with it, right? Because a lot of times these science fields can seem way over your head. I wanted to really not necessarily dumb it down, but I wanted to make the discussions about science and all these other high level topics just as commonplace as we would be talking about the latest album or, you know, latest movie that you just watched, or, you know, some fashion trend or some dance trend. You know, I wanted those type of subjects to be mainstream. I wanted to make the love for science and education to be mainstream as much as it is with entertainment. And so that's really how the whole Hip Hop Science platform came to be. And it's been fun, man. It's been a journey. And I think the reason why I love it the most is that it's uniquely me, right? All these different aspects between entertainment and music and the science, it's what I do on a regular basis. So it's never work to me because it's kind of how my mind works. And so it's been cool seeing people gravitating towards it.
Bro, that's dope. That's dope. I love that. Love that so much. I mean, especially let me say the Bobby Shmurda, the man Bobby Shmurda.
Yeah.
I was just, bro. I was like, I was like, oh shoot, where'd it go? Where'd it go, bro? Like, I gotta know. Like, I swear we do this with my friends all the time. We just like, yo, man, where did his hat go? Like,
Right.
we all just, bro. But that's amazing, man. That's a journey though.
Hmm.
That's a long journey, bro. Like that.
Yeah.
Uh, so is this what you're doing at the Hip Hop Science Show? Is that what you're doing full time now?
I do it full time, but I mean, I guess I have two full time gigs at this point. I'm doing the Hip Hop Science platform full time. I'm also an entrepreneur. I have a food business as well too. Jada Brands, it's a food line. We carry like a line of healthy food products, vegan, plant-based seasonings, as well as a new plant-based chicken mix that we just launched on Shark Tank a couple months ago. So that business keeps me just as busy or even more busy actually at this time right now, just because we got a lot of momentum and things are in development right now, just from that buzz that we got from being on the show. And then also all the work that's coming to place after that as well too. So between that and my Hip Hop Science platform, I'm pretty much dividing my time throughout the day and then trying to squeeze in sleep when I can.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. Like, how do you even find the time to do it all? Because yeah, I mean, you put out some great content. I mean,
Mhm.
let me tell you, like I mean, I was like, bro, like I don't. If I had the editing skills, man, I'll be right there. But like I do not. It's like how do you even find the time to even get it all in?
Man, I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. I don't sleep. I don't sleep much. Definitely. I'm always, but my mind is always active, right?
Right.
An idea might pop in my head 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I might write something down, or I might be working on, writing something like. So I try to squeeze it as much time. I think the most difficult part for me is just trying to allocate the correct amount of time throughout the day, because I try to stay active on like my social media platforms, but at the same time, I don't want my social media platforms to control me and take away from other things I got to do. I got to do a lot of tedious paperwork stuff on the business side, and then constantly brainstorming and everything like that. So it's like I'll be I got my dual screen set up here, so I got one action going on here. I'm doing some other work here. I'm literally all over the place all the time. So I don't know. It's just, but I've always been a multitasker. That's always been my thing, from as long as I can remember. I've always had my hands into multiple different things, and so I think over time I've just learned to just be able to balance a lot of different things at the same time.
That's dope. That's dope. I like that. That's I mean that's really cool because I mean I when you said you get ideas at like 2 in the morning, I feel the same way. The same
Mhm.
way with my science. It's kind of weird. I guess not weird. It's just because science is like the shit that I do.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about my projects, and then like if I'm at the gym, I have the best ideas at the gym.
Hmm.
Let me tell you the best ideas.
Yep.
Just like yo, I'm squatting or something. I take a break. I was like,
Hmm.
that could work. Hold on, let me write that down. Well, that that could
Yeah.
actually.
I 100% agree with you actually. Like, and that's the other thing, Joe. I'm consistent with my workouts Monday, Wednesday, Friday
Right.
mornings. I start my day off at the gym, and I think that helps me at least get enough energy to kind of go through the days. But I'm the same way too. Like, ideas be popping up in the gym all the time, and I think I actually get the best ideas the days that I forget my headphones and I just got to work out to like just the silence of just like hitting the weights. Those are actually the times I get the best ideas, because there's no distractions. I'm
Right.
just like literally focused in, and things just be popping in my head, and I just have to pull my phone out and write an idea down or topic down. So yeah, I'm 100%, I'm with you. I agree on that one.
That's dope. That's dope. I mean, people ask me, it's like, yo, man, you think about science while you're working out? I was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
True
I
nerd.
does this, yeah.
About this life.
All about the science life, man. That's all me. All about the science life. Always circulating, man. Always.
For
Oh,
real.
that's dope. I will say, I was gonna get to this later, but since you brought it up, brought your fitness up now, you out here posting them thirst traps with shirt off and the abs out, bro. And I was like, bro, you're making me look bad. I don't appreciate it.
It's my I have a monthly quota. I have a monthly quota. I got to do one thirst trap post every month, at least one. I got to keep them. I got to keep them in check. You
Right.
know.
Yeah.
The girls get to do thirst trap photos with every pic they post, right? So we gotta squeeze it. We gotta squeeze it whenever we can, right? We gotta squeeze it in whenever we can. So that's what I do.
Keep your page diversified. You know.
Bro, that's great. Oh my god. I mean, you know what? Yeah, I remember somebody was telling me that was like, bro, you should post some shirtless pics. I was just like, I don't know if my page is really. I mean, it's a fitness page, yes, but I don't know if my page is meant for me to be shirtless on it. Like, I don't know how.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Do it. I urge you to do it. At least one thirst trap. At least start with one. Start with one thirst trap post. You know, and you don't have to do some like crazy. You know, they always do some like crazy thirst trap post, and then they try to put something intellectual, right, in the caption. I try to keep. Look, if I'm posting a thirst trap, I let it be known that this is clearly a thirst trap. This is clearly a thirst trap. I'm not trying to trick you into something knowledgeable or deep. It's like, you know what I'm doing. And then I'm still my nerd self, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yep, this is just me out here and enjoying the view, you know, thinking about which tree I'm gonna lift next, you know, if I'm out in the wild or something. It's clearly a thirst trap picture, and I let it be known that. So you can do it too.
Yeah, as long as you're clear about the fact that it's a thirst trap, you're not trying to also sell me on the fact that I should look deeply into my soul while I'm also looking at this.
Let them know this is what I'm here for. You know what I'm here for.
You know what I'm here for. Exactly.
You know exactly what I'm here for. You know what? To all the listeners and viewers out there, when I post this first thirst trap, blame it on the hip hop MD. That's blame it on the hip hop MD. He made me do it. That's it. And I'm tagging him in the post and be like, the hip hop MD made me.
Well, you got a unique platform though, because I mean you're blending the science and fitness talk, you know, saying, so it's like it only makes sense to showcase anatomy, right? Like it's if you're gonna talk about science and blend fitness in it, you got to talk about anatomy, and why not do a shirtless post and, you know, talk about the science of, you know, how proteins affect your abdominal muscles, you know, and you could break it down intellectually, you know.
See that's posting a thirst trap. And it's showing some intellectual stuff in the caption.
But it's clearly thirst trapping, but you're describing you're breaking down the science of your thirst trap, right? So if you're talking about the abs and you're talking about the proteins, right, and how and how your muscles are actually building and the science behind it, they're at least learning something, but the audience still knows that you're trapping, right? So it's like it's a win-win.
Boom, the science of a thirst trap.
Title of this podcast right now.
My gosh, the science of it. Yep, that's going to get some clicks. It was like, what?
I'm gonna have to write that down. That could be a really interesting video.
Yo, do it.
Break down social media thirst trapping. The history of thirst trapping.
Yo, that start from Yo Vixens and go down. there it is. But oh man, but for real. So you mentioned your STEM outreach, right? Which is amazing stuff. I've seen some of the stuff that you've done with STEM media, things like that. We're having him on the podcast next week, actually.
Yeah.
Homie, the homie. Because I was on one of his lives earlier when I lived back in Maryland. So, but
where
where
are you at now?
Texas, Austin, Texas.
Where are you guys at right now? Actually,
we are not in it. I'm in Irvine, Southern California, like a little hour south of LA, actually.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Toledo, Ohio.
Okay.
Right now.
Nice.
All over the place, bro.
Yeah.
All over. I mean,
shoot. Represented. Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, I used to. It's funny because like my whole journey from Indiana, moved from Indiana to Atlanta for 2 years to get my master's, and then moved from Atlanta to DC. So I moved from one chocolate city to the other. Moved from Atlanta to DC, got my PhD there, and then moved over to here to Austin, Texas after that. So, you know, just, I don't know. I think I'm a nomad at heart, but I'm tired of moving, man. It's rough.
And and I don't even know what industry are you in right now. What work you doing and where?
So I have my PhD in biochemistry, right?
Biochemistry.
So right now, I guess I'm technically I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Texas, Austin, and I'm doing work on. Well, my boss would say I'm doing work on the viral immunosystem, but I think I'm doing work on the cancer immunosystem. But you know, it's fine. I have my own things that I want done. He has his own things that he wants done. But I guess that's the point of a postdoc, you know, to take something with you. So the goal is to get into academia, run my own lab, you know, one of these days. And if that don't work out, industry is calling my name with a whole bunch of money.
Nice.
Nice. That's what it is. But yeah, man, that's what that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. But it's a good time though. It's fun. I noticed, you know, it's funny. The imposter syndrome really kicked in like after my PhD, because I was like, man, I don't know if I can even go into academia like that. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like. And then when I got into my postdoc, you know, I got into my postdoc during COVID. So I'm like, yo, things are slow. Things are real slow. And I'm trying to get my research up and going, working things, you know, all these different moving pieces going. And then I finally got things going, and then things started going. It was just like, it just took off. I was like, oh shit, I does this. I does this. I was also science might be my thing, and it's always funny because I think we talked about this on another podcast. That a lot of people who I like went to school with, who got like straight A's and all this other stuff, they couldn't cut it. They couldn't cut it in the research world. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, shoot, maybe this was just my niche, just my calling. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has that one thing that calls out to them, and science was that thing for me. It was just like, yo, so you can't live without this thing. You know you can't. You know you can't. I was like, all right, you right. You're right.
Wait, are y'all have PhD backgrounds?
I'm currently getting my PhD.
Okay, where at?
University of California, Irvine.
Okay, nice. In what?
Chemical engineering.
Okay, dope. How about you, Trevor?
I'm actually on my last year of my undergrad on biochemistry.
Nice.
So, yep.
Nice. That's awesome. All right.
But he's making real people money out here.
Real people money, yeah. I'm in the medical device industry right now.
In the what industry?
A medical device industry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
nice.
Making that regular people money there. I love it. That's probably where I'll see myself once I'll get my undergrad and then move on master's and on further into that.
That's awesome. Yep. It's all about you got to collect that bag as soon as you can.
Man, we all trying to get that regular people money, man. We all trying to get that. But you know what's funny? I remember something that you said, like somebody told you like there's no money in the natural sciences. Man, that's so not true. I feel like, yo, I mean, well, one, if you're good with your money, we talked about this. We all thought you're good with your money, you can make it work. You can make it like there's some struggle, and there's always some struggle making it no matter what you're trying to do, right? There's always some struggle. But like, you know, you can make good money and live. I'm like, literally, I have no debt except for student loans.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, that's what I always. I've said this before in a previous keynote that I was giving when somebody asked this question, and I always, especially I tell students, you know, go with what you're passionate about at the end of the day, because I'm a firm believer that if you're passionate about something and you truly care about, you will find a way to make money. And it wasn't until later on that I realized that like people are making money in the most obscure things possible. That you're like, how did you even get into that field? Or like, you wouldn't think that there would be a niche for that. If you are truly passionate and you dedicate your time and you dedicate yourself and you really grow what it is that you're involved in, you can find a way to make money. And the crazy thing is, like, you know, I left the natural sciences, went into engineering. A lot of the work, a lot of the, you know, content that I do right now on my hip hop science platform definitely skews more towards the natural sciences, because that was something I was just always interested in, you know. So even if it's like wildlife explorations or partnerships with, you know, Rainforest Trust and other things like that, like it's come full circle back to what I love doing, you know. And so I think at the end of the day, if you truly care about something and dedicate yourself to it, that money eventually will come.
It's true. It's so true. I mean, and then also you can't be out here being wild with your money as well.
Yeah. Okay. Of course.
You can't be, unless you're Usher throwing Usher bucks.
I was clouding with some friends on a group chat, and they're clouding. And I was like, no, that's actually genius. That's super genius. You got your own coin, and you're throwing out Usher bucks. And these strippers were complaining, and I was like, y'all should have been collecting those Usher bucks. Who knows? They might be the next NFTs. You know, they might be the next Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Especially the way money is going right now, you never know what that could turn into, and you might have the first one. And you know, you got NFTs out here that are selling for millions of dollars. So you know,
that shit crazy.
That's genius. That's genius. Usher was smart with it.
But then he came out and said it was all a joke. He's like, "Oh, haha, all the money was fake. We actually afterwards. It was all funny."
It's like, nah, bro. Nah, bro. You just trying to keep your money in your pocket.
I ain't mad at it. I'm very free. I'm not frivolous with my money at all. You know, I would enjoy myself at the strip club as anyway, but if I didn't have to pay, even better. If I didn't have to throw it.
See, I don't even show up at a strip club. I don't even go. I'll be like, yo, you said I have to pay to get in? Oh, you said there's a minimum? You said and I have to pay the strippers? Nah, bro, I'm gone. I'm out. Yeah. I'm out. I'm good. Like, I was like, yo, see, now we getting explicit with the content. No. It was like, yo, if I really wanted to see any woman shake their butt for me or anything like that, I can get it for free. Like that's real. You get it for free, and that's, you know what Sam Nika said we need to do a dating podcast, and we might have to do that sooner than later. Have to do a dating podcast sooner than later. Dating the scientists who live. I mean, it's a little wild. It's a little wild. We got stories. Yeah. I got stories out here.
I'm sure you do.
I got stories.
That's a whole another topic. You might actually need to get a stripper on board and actually break down the science behind that as well too. You know, that might be an interesting one.
I'm trying to think. Do I know a stripper? Actually, I do know a stripper. Okay.
We all know one.
Look, I lived in Atlanta for a little bit, so I mean,
you may not know it, but you know one.
you don't live in Atlanta for a period of time without coming out knowing a stripper. I mean, even if she wasn't a stripper going in when you first met her, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, you making a bag. All right. You got that trash bag of ones and stuff. I was like, all right. Do your thing. I ain't mad at you.
I ain't mad at you. It's a profession.
Do your thing. Salute. One
of the oldest professions ever.
What'd you say, Coach Joe?
I have a question for him actually about the you like transition from you went from civil engineering, you had a civil engineering job, but then you started transitioning into all of these different endeavors, essentially more for yourself, really. It's more like things you like to do, things that you found were profitable, things that made you money. And now you're doing hip hop MD, you have a food business on the side that it's made that you just had on Shark Tank. It was just like that transition from that regular job into all of your endeavors. How was that? Or like, what kind of things were like running through your mind when you had that like transition beforehand?
Yeah, no, the transition was pretty crazy, man. And like, for me, I was working my job right at Turner, right? And Turner Construction was a company that I was working for doing the general contracting work. And it was a great job, right? It was one of those jobs where, like, you know, everybody that's in engineering aspires to be in that profession, you know, and even within the company, they had me on this fast track path. And so I was working my way up, you know, the ladder real quick, you know, within the 5 years that I was there. You know, I was lead engineer on multiple projects. And, you know, those are one of those jobs you're supposed to stay at for 20, 30, 40 years eventually and be satisfied with it. But for me, I was always curious, right? I always craved like curiosity and seeking more and trying new things. And I think the toughest part for me after graduating from college, because, you know, while you're in school, right, you're constantly looking forward to the next thing, right? It's like the next test, this next exam, it's the next class, the next course. You're always like switching up something new, right? There's always something down the pipeline that changes. Teachers change, courses change, or whatever, right? And you got to balance your time accordingly. And then you graduate, and then it's like you're just working. Like you get up and you go to work. You get up and you go to work. You get up and you go to, and it becomes the most monotonous, like consistent thing ever. And I think that adjustment for me was incredibly tough. Because, you know, you don't really prepare for that while you're in school. You don't prepare for that kind of stop as far as like growth, you know, and that kind of balance where now it's just your time is everything. And I remember working, and I remember getting to the point where it just got tougher and tougher for me to wake up and go to work. Like it became so monotonous and became so predictable. And I was doing all these things on the side, you know, after I get out of work, and I was putting in a lot of time too at work. I was working like 10, 11, 12-hour days sometimes, you know, and I get off work and I'd go and work on some music. I'd go and work on other things that I cared about that made me happy, that brought me energy. And then I'd go to work and I'd be slaving away for 10 hours and be miserable the entire time. And it got to a point where I just had to be real with myself as far as like, what did I want out of life? Like, it was this my future where I'm just gonna every day the same thing every day and no excitement, nothing to look forward to. And I needed to make the switch, you know, and it was tough because, you know, I didn't know, there was nothing guaranteed if I left that job and, you know, went to pursue my dream or went to Hollywood or whatever, you know, like none of that is guaranteed, you know, and then the financial stability, all of that, right, it's a huge concern. It's all the unknown. And I think that's the plight that any entrepreneur or any aspiring creative goes through, is like, how are you going to make your ends meet, you know? And, you know, so I was able to save up a good amount of money, and I finally got to build up enough confidence. I had enough like people that are supporting me to be like, hey, go and do it. You know, this is what you care about. This is what you want to do. And I finally had to like literally put my resignation in and like just make the leap. I put in my resignation, and 2 weeks later, I was driving down to LA with everything that I had, you know? And I think that diving in process was probably the toughest part, making that transition mentally and emotionally, and then being able to kind of flip that switch back, because you get to a point where you get kind of complacent, right? Because I was making good money. I was able to buy whatever I wanted, you know. I just bought a condo in Seattle. And at the time I started riding, so I just bought a motorcycle, you know, I bought a new car. I was just living. I had like on my little bachelor pad, and I was like, this is what I gotta do. But that wasn't enough for me. I always craved more. And so that transition was tough because I had to sacrifice all of that, you know, and then come to a position where I wasn't making any money, and I had to literally just start from scratch doing whatever random odd jobs here and there to make ends meet. You know, it was a tough transition. But yeah, and I always tell people it's never easy. You know, if you're aspiring to what it is that you want to do, especially as an entrepreneur, you have to go through those pitfalls. You have to make those sacrifices, and you have to take like 10 steps back in order to make, you know, 20, 30 leaps forward. And that's really what I tried to accomplish with everything that I did along the way.
That's dope. That's dope. Yeah.
I got my dog over here with her squeeze toy making noises in the background.
Yeah, I heard like at the beginning, and it was like, it seems like she's going off now.
I got a little Boston Terrier,
Oh,
here, and she's a little ball of energy.
yeah. I tried to have a dog, but I'm not home enough to do it. I'm just not home enough. Like I think once I get like a significant other and then live like closer to work, which I don't live far from work, but like, you know, it'll be easier to actually have living things. I got plants though. I got plants.
Have you killed your plants yet?
I have not, man. They are flourishing. I haven't named them yet, but they're flourishing though.
That's next level when you start naming your plants. That's next level.
Man, I love my plants. They looking good. I was like, y'all growing out here. All right, I see y'all. I see y'all doing your thing. Okay, okay. But yeah, that's dope. And so, shoot, before we got off on a crazy ass tangent, I was going to ask you about your STEM outreach, and what I wanted to get into was so your background is engineering. Look, Bill Nye, his background is engineering, and he
Mhm.
does sort of the he does you're. I feel like you're the hip hop version of Bill Nye. Let's go.
They say,
The-
yeah, I'm Bill Nye meets World Star. That's my that's my that's my bio.
exactly, exactly. So
Ratchet
like,
Bill Nye.
eh, love it, I love it. But so I was always wondering because I think I had this conversation with a couple of y'all and Sam Nika, who couldn't be here with us because she's doing a selection committee. She's on a selection committee for the University of Missouri, but with someone in Australia. Good for her. Someone I don't know. She doesn't seem happy about it. She was like, "Yo, man, we're interviewing this person from Australia. Like, why? just why?" But no. So I was always wondering. So do you think so? Who what I've seen or what people I've seen to be the most successful people doing STEM outreach, right? And that STEM outreach seemed to be like engineers. Like you know what? When I found out Bill Nye was an engineer, I was blown. I was blown away because he taught me science. You know what I'm saying? He's the reason why I'm
Yeah.
I'm here. And I was like, yeah, Bill Nye the science guy. Yeah, you mean Bill Nye the engineer? It was a lie. It was a lie. It was a lie. But is it the fact that what engineers are have more personality? They can get their thoughts across better than a biochemist as myself could. I've always wondered why engineers are more likely to do something that Bill Nye does, something that you do, and do it so well. Because I haven't
Mhm.
seen anybody else do it as well. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. That's actually a really interesting concept to bring. I never really thought about that until you just mentioned it now, and I'm trying to think in my head outside of like Bill Nye and some others, and yeah, I'm starting to think of more engineers, even like Nehemiah, with the STEM media platform. He's a civil engineer as well too, and then I think of some other people that are doing kind of like heavy SciComm work as far as like working with outreach, and yeah, a lot of them I do know are engineers. So that's interesting. I never really thought about it or made a connection, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think some of the elements are right. I think within engineers we're unique in a number of ways, right? Because I think engineering is one of those more teamwork based STEM fields, right? It's not such individualistic STEM field like you would if you are, a biology major or even natural sciences. You can, a lot of that is like research based and whatnot. You don't necessarily do a lot of research based concepts when you're doing engineering. Depends on eventually where you end up going and what kind of route you go to. But normally, like with me, I have my undergraduate in civil environmental engineering, but everything is all about teamwork, right? Working in groups in order to figure out a problem or dive into a solution. And that's kind of with any engineering, especially definitely within civil engineering, but within any engineering field, right? You're using technical expertise and knowledge of multiple different areas to be able to now construct something, put something together, engineer something, develop something, and you have to do it kind of with in this team concept. And so I think you have a lot of elements where you do have to work with others. You have to learn how to like work with others, whether you're doing work in the lab, doing chem engineering work or material science engineering work, or if you're working out in the field on the construction side or with other general contractors. Definitely within civil engineering, it's all about like constructing a building. You're utilizing everybody's backgrounds, and you have to work with everybody from all sorts of different spectrums. And so I think that teamwork aspect definitely assists in having that mentality to one, communicate properly, right? To be able to get that information out to the masses and to communicate to others. And then also too, I think from the engineering standpoint, engineers are kind of like that building block of a lot of different elements, right? When you have those engineering principles, they're really applicable to every other field. And I think, and this is all just kind of coming to my head now as I'm thinking about it, right? But like even within, like, think about something like chemical engineering, right? That you do. You have chemistry, which is a STEM field, but then you have chemical engineering, right? You have biology, which is about, obviously a STEM field, but you have bioengineering. You have engineering crosses all of these other different STEM fields, right? Material science, material science in itself is a science, but you have material science engineering, and all these different things combine. When you talk about the rocket scientists, those are doing a combination of astrophysics with astronomy in order for you to become an aeronautics engineer, right? So you have all of these combining elements, and I think that's what makes engineers unique, is that they combine all of these fields. They have to touch on everything, and then at the same time also be that fundamental engineering, quote unquote, building block of everything. And so I think they have a natural tendency to be a little more well-rounded in a lot of different areas. And that well-roundedness definitely helps in knowing a lot of different unique facts, being able to communicate a lot of different unique facts, and then piece them all together. And then that skill set of being able to piece them all together assists when you're doing STEM outreach, when you're working with kids, when you're working with organizations, and you now have to communicate about how you have to develop something from scratch. I think engineers have that normal, natural tendency because they already kind of have their hands involved into a lot of different areas within STEM itself.
Yeah, like you have to know so many different basics of a lot of different fields to do engineering. And when you want to do like an outreach project and you need to communicate this or communicate something to a wide group of people who may or may not know what you're talking about, it would help to have like an engineer who's able to like break down all of those pieces and be like, oh, we don't really need to know all of the chemistry about this, but if you mix this much water and this much something else, then we can get the experiment moving forward. And then that's like that synergistic aspect of it. Then you have like the whole teamwork aspect about bringing them out to the children, having groups of children and having groups of people being able to their concepts and be more, just make it more palatable to them in an easy to understand way. I think that also plays into how engineers are able to have their outreach be a little more successful, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that because I think about my background, doing engineering work. And yeah, I mean, obviously I took math pretty much every quarter that I was in school, right? But you also have all of these different coursework that you do along the way. And so you do get this kind of more well-rounded knowledge base when you're doing engineering work. And I think that well-rounded, not because the principle behind engineering really is to problem solve. Like that's really just what engineers do at the core, regardless of whatever field of engineering you go into. It could be biomedical, it could be aeronautical, chemical. You have to problem solve. You have to learn how to piece things together to be able to find a solution or create something or develop something. And so I think that problem solving elements and that fundamental problem solving skill set aids a lot when you're now communicating, science to other people or trying to make it palatable or understandable or relatable, because you already have that mindset of how all the pieces fit together. And so now it becomes easier for you to explain it to other people.
So going along those lines, so for I guess for engineers, it may be easier for them to. So it seems like a lot of STEM outreach goes towards like engineering or tech, and in those fields. They do talk about the sciences like chemistry, biology, those things, physics. But so how would you suggest that? Because what the problem is how do we get kids to get something tangible in chemistry or tangible in biology to get them interested in what's going on in those fields? Because tech is easy to get tangible, man. You bring in some kind of robot or drone or whatever, and it's like boom, you got them. And then engineering is kind of the same thing. You can bring in something tangible for kids to work on that isn't dangerous. Because I mean, like with chemistry, you can blow stuff up. I got a whole story when I blew stuff up on my undergraduate campus. But you know, you blow stuff up. So like, how do you get kids to, you know, get things that are more tangible in those STEM fields and get them interested in that?
Yeah. Well, I want to say too, I know we talked about engineers being kind of the normal ones that would that do really well in STEM. That doesn't mean that other people can't, right? Like,
Right.
you know, we all know definitely, like even within like our STEM Avengers crew for our STEM Success Summer team, you know, everybody's from all sorts of different backgrounds. We got, you know, biology, you know, majors in there as well too, the data scientists, all sorts of different backgrounds, and everybody communicates in their own, you know, with their own wheelhouse. So not saying that, oh, if you're not an engineering major, you're not good at science communication or good at STEM outreach. By no means. That's not what we're saying. And with that being said, I think really what happens in the easy way to reach kid, you know, to especially we're talking here about students, particularly when you're talking about these other fields, really at the end of the day, right, it's exposure, right? So even if you start off, you know, those easy tech, you know, tech skills or engineering skills are easy to kind of showcase, right? Because you have a lot of hands-on things, right? You could bring a robot into class and you could start breaking down robotics and doing coding and different things like that, right? I think it starts off from having those hands-on experiences, that because I'm a huge believer, you have to touch and experience things, right? Especially at an early age to make that connection and to really kind of bridge that gap between wanting to learn more, right, and wanting to pursue education. You have to be exposed to those different things. And I think a lot of times, especially when we talk about underserved, underprivileged, and minority groups, you know, the reason why we have a lack of involvement within STEM is that simply a lot of those schools, a lot of those different organizations just don't have the funds, don't have the capabilities to be able to provide that for their students, right? I went to my high school and even my my junior high school. I was in a predominantly white area, and we had funds to go on field trips and do all sorts of different things, right? But I talk to students now that are from different, you know, communities, different schools. They, you know, don't have, you know, funds to go anywhere. I worked with an organization that was working with students here in Los Angeles, and you have kids in the hood, inner city areas that are here in Los Angeles that never even have gone to the Natural History Museum, which is right here. You know what I'm saying? It's like right here in LA, or they haven't been to the California Space Center, you know, places that are literally in their neighborhoods because they just don't have exposure to it, you know? And so I think it starts from having that exposure, being able to have access and be able to get hands-on, whether it be with robotics or whether it be with animals, you know, being able to go out to a natural site and be able to explore and look at habitats and having access to green spaces, right? So they have an understanding of ecology and organisms and where animals live and thrive. Being able to get into those areas is the first step. And then from there, you know, the world's your oyster, right? Once you kind of have that exposure, now you can specialize if you want to, right? You can go into the engineering if you like the fundamental building blocks applications of putting robots together or whatnot, and you want to go into material science or you want to go into mechanical engineering. But maybe along the way, while you're doing those hands-on experiences and you're working with organisms, you're working with animals, you know, you fall in love with an organism and their habitats and the makeup of this organism, and maybe that sparks something within you that wants you to go down the biology route and specialize, right? So it just starts from having that initial spark that introduces you into something, and we, you know, this kind of ties back to the engineering aspect, right? Because if you have those engineering fundamentals or those basic kind of science experiment fundamentals where you could be something as simple as learning acids and bases and reactions and different things like that, right? You have those simple hands-on tools that are very traditional. Those now enable you to now seek and be more curious and then try to find something that you could specialize in and break down even further. So now it's like, oh, I really like how these chemicals react with each other. I want to learn more about chemistry. I want to be able to dissect into how chemicals work. And who knows, you might end up being a chemist or being a chemical engineer. And there was that story of that one girl, I can't remember, it was just on the tip of my head. I think she was like a 16-year-old girl, and she developed some bandage or something like that was able to detect if like your wounds got infected, or if there was like a,
The
you know what I'm
sutures.
talking about?
It was the sutures, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And yeah, I was able to detect like infection that and that stemmed, you know, from her having these hands-on experiences, right, with different materials and whatnot. And she was able to now specialize in her brain, obviously was able to take her to that level where she was more curious and really wanted to learn more and dove deep into something. And lo and behold, you know, made a discovery, you know, which is groundbreaking for a 16, 17-year-old, you know. But it just takes that initial exposure. And I think really from getting that initial exposure and then sparking that curiosity, I think the combination of those two things really open the doors to new, new opportunities that they may have never had before. And so that's really what I try to do with my STEM outreach is one, provide one, representation for people that look like them so they feel motivated to enter those fields. Two, be able to expose them to new things that they may not have seen or new areas of science they may not have thought about, whether it's the different museums or whether it's different explorations and different scientific facts that they may have not known before that are like puzzling, that are like, whoa, I never knew that could be possible. And then three, sparking that curiosity to where now I try to motivate them to ask more questions, to question everything, to dive into something that they may not know about, to try something that they may not normally be in their wheelhouse or they may think doesn't suit them or isn't speak to them. Take a risk and try something because you never know exactly what you'll learn from it. You never know what inspiration you might drive from it. And that's really how I've gotten to where I've been at now, is being curious and risk taking and doing things that are outside the box, doing things that, people may see me and be like, you would never do that. I would never expect you to do that. But I try it and it opens my eyes to new things, new wonders that I never would have known about before. And so I think the combination of those different things is probably the best way to be able to reach out to particularly students and to get them inspired, which will also eventually translate into multiple different areas as well.
That's dope. That's dope. I like, because I mean, so technically, tech and engineering is just a gateway drug to the better stuff, in my opinion, to the biochemistry and to the real hard drugs. That's chemistry and biology.
Definitely say that. Yes, definitely say that. Right. We provide the building tech and engineering provide the building blocks, and then from there you specialize, right? And you dive deep, and you need the specialists, right? You need the specialists in order to break. That's how we're developing vaccines over here, right? That's how we're developing cures and all that, because you got to hone in, you got to specialize, and you got to break the ins and outs. But you got to start from somewhere, right? You got to start from somewhere.
Facts. I mean, I feel like I relate to the kids in the inner city that you work with, because growing up, man, we didn't have science. Like, people, when I went into undergrad, people was like, oh yeah, my science fair, this, my science. I was like, science fairs? Y'all had science fairs?
Yeah.
Oh man, that sounds dope, man. What are those like? Like, it was like you didn't have the we didn't have the access to things like that,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I grew up in, I mean, you could call it a small town, Indiana, but like it's the second biggest city in Indiana, but it still has this like small town feel. But I still lived on the black side of town, so there was no funds over there on the black side of town.
Yeah.
So I kind of lucked out because for some reason I had a love for dinosaurs. That's how this all started. I had a love for dinosaurs. Wanted to be a paleontologist. And bro, like, let me tell you, I was all in. I was all, I had the
the Dr. Grant hat,
the cast
pants.
Yeah, the cast, like, good. I would literally cast, like, it was this white goo, I forget what it was, but I would cast different dinosaurs, and I had this rubber cat. Man, listen, I was all in. I was all in. I was even like, it went all the way to high school where I started looking at colleges that I could major in paleontology. Like, this is how serious it got.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what switched. I know what switched. I had a chemistry teacher who just did whatever the hell he wanted. And like, my man's would literally, what he did on the first day of chemistry class was took us outside, put a glass bowl of water on this stool, took a slice of something, threw it in the water, he started to walk away, and then once he got to a safe distance, and we're just like looking at the bowl as this thing is swirling around and sizzling, and he was like, "Oh, y'all might want to bag up," and I'm just like, sir. So he put pure sodium in water, and we would just watch the glue. I was like, yo, whatever this is, I want to be a part of it. Whatever this is, I want to be a part of it, because this is dope. And like he sparked my interest. Like everybody else, maybe not, but like he got me that day. He got me. Granted, I was already into science. I was already a lover of STEM, anyways. But like after that interaction, I was like, yeah, you blow something up for me. I'm like, yo, I wanna do that.
That goes back to what we just said earlier,
Yeah.
having a hands-on experience, right? That led to you specializing into something, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And so,
right.
I mean, I think at some point we all wanted to be paleontologists, you know, like Jurassic Park to this day is still my favorite movie of all time, you know? So like, I think yeah, in our heart, all of us kind of wanting, dinosaurs is like the most common thing. What kid doesn't love dinosaurs, right? And, but after a while, you know, you grow up, you get more experiences, and then, you know, if you're fortunate enough to have some hands-on experiences that open your eyes to something new, then that love that was already there for some sort of science element can now translate into something deeper.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and I was just doing the STEM outreach for some K through, I think that was sixth graders, like kindergarten through sixth graders. The STEM outreach thing. It was through Zoom, and it was actually pretty dope because they brought in different Black scientists and engineers, and from all different walks of life and all different fields. And I got to show them, you know, what I do, and it's easier for me to show people what I do because I do a lot of microscopy work. So I got pretty images, you know. I got pretty images, I got pretty videos that I can show the kids, and the kids are very interested. And they was like, "Ooh, you know, that sort of thing." So it's easier for me to do that sort of outreach, and it was so cool to see. Like they had questions, they had good questions. Man, I was like, "Yo, these kids, they coming at me." I was like, "All right." I wasn't prepared for all the questions. And then at the same time, it was like, yeah, I want to be a scientist. They all wanted to be scientists, and I'm like, yo, this is dope. This is exactly what, you know, we should be doing, and this should be on a bigger scale. You
Yeah.
know, it should be on a bigger scale. Like everybody should have access to this. Everybody should have access to me. I knew getting my PhD, because at one point it was just like, whatever you do, you know, it's hard. It's hard. Like I went through some shit. I went through some shit trying to get my PhD. And you know, I'm not the I don't fit into this scientist box. Like you when someone sees me, they were like, "You say you a scientist? What kind?" Like, you said, "A biochemist." Oh, okay. Interesting. Huh? Like they're just so confused. As you know, looking at me, it's like, yo, you don't look like one. I was like, what does one look like? So, and I knew at that point, like, because I could have quit, but I knew at one point I was just like, yo, man, this is getting this. Like, I love science, but getting this is way bigger than me at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's way bigger than me. Like, I know I have to get this not only for the culture, because some people's like, oh, don't do it for the culture, do it for yourself. I was like, yo, listen, I'm doing it for myself and the culture. Do it for myself and the culture, because the culture needs me, and the culture needs access to me, and for the culture to see me. And I know we talked about this in a earlier episode about representation in STEM, and how important it is. And I mean, I know some places are doing what they can, but like some people are exploiting that to get exploitation out of Black and brown kids to come to their schools and things like that. So it's a oh man, it's hard. It's a hard thing to balance. Like, okay, well, we want this exposure to people to see Black and brown scientists, but we don't want to try to exploit them to get there, you know.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but it, it's
Yeah.
it's dope though. I mean, I whenever I get the chance to do some outreach, I jump at the chance.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
definitely jump at the chance.
Yeah, no, and I think it's great. And I think we talked about this like early on. There's definitely a huge buzz right now within the world of like STEM fields, and I think it's really just been over the past couple of years. You've really been seeing this uptick of one, and I think it's kind of tied in a lot too with racial injustice and different things. But you start to see this clear lack, especially within the workforce, of minorities in these science and tech fields, because that's the future, right? The STEM fields are the wave of the future. This is where everything is going. Everything you talk about artificial intelligence and new innovations, technology and everything is taking over, and there's a huge gap. You look at on the tech side, you look at all these new tech companies that are getting multi-million dollar, billion-dollar valuations and investments. They're not owned by Black people, and there you see a huge gap, and that gap leads to so much disparity and leads to so many different injustices in all sorts of different areas. And I think it's important now, especially for science communicators, to really be able to continue to highlight that. And like you said, reaching out to these students and showing that representation, right? Showing them that there's opportunities within these fields, changing that narrative, right? There's the whole site, we have a whole shirts with our STEM success group of, this is what a scientist looks like, right? Changing that narrative so people aren't as bewildered when you tell them that you're biology, you're a biochemist, or or I tell them that I'm an engineer or that I do science communication work, to where it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Now I get it. It makes sense. I could see that. You changing that narrative. Obviously, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But the more and more that we can infuse that, especially to kids early on, then they can take that and they can start running with it. So we're all here just trying to throw that baton to the next group of students that are going to be taking over the world, because it's inevitable, right? The STEM field is where everything is going to be going towards, and if we continue to not have access, or we continue to be in that gap, like, we're going to be left behind. And I think there's a realization of that now, and that's why it's so important to have that representation and do that STEM outreach work to kids that would never otherwise have that access.
Nice. I need to get me one of those shirts.
Yeah.
What a scientist looks like. Like, I was like, yo, man, where do I find one of those? Because I need that. I need that wherever I go.
Talk to Nehemiah next week. He'll toss you one.
Yeah. I'm gonna need to talk to him about that. Yeah, because I literally I have science shirts. Like, I love my science shirts. Like, I love t-shirts because I don't wear professional clothes to the lab. I don't know. It's one of those freedoms that you have as a scientist, like when you're working in a academia setting, that nobody wears real clothes. So It's nice. So I just wear t-shirts. So I got this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love this. This got that for my birthday, and I was like,
nice.
Oh yeah, let me.
I'll have to once I finalize this line that I'm working on, we'll have to chat. I got some hip hop science themed gear coming soon. So
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Just drop an inclusive bomb, boom. You know what I'm saying? You gotta line.
I haven't released that to anybody yet. So
Right. You got major exclusive for podcast. We out here dropping exclusive.
Scheming.
Yeah, that's what's up. I love that shit, bro. Like, I love and I love the fact that I can just be yourself. Like, what people don't understand, like, like, and what we need to really put out there is that we can be ourselves, and we need to start, like, not, because there's code switching. We have to code switch in some of these spaces, but, like, I'm tired. I'm tired of code switching. I just want to be myself. I just want to be authentic. Obviously, there's some slang that I can't use, and I get that, but I just want to be my authentic self wherever I go. And that's kind of how I chose my postdoc, because I had a couple places that I wanted to go, and I was like, okay, I need to choose a place where I can be my authentic self and still be successful, because I've been in places where I wasn't able to be just me, and, like, they didn't like me being me, and, like, when you find a place where you can be you, because there's places out there, don't get me wrong, like, there's a lot of places where you know, you can't be you, and you have to, you know, do that code switch. And even though it's an amazing lab, but like at what cost? Like
Yeah.
at some point, at what cost? And you know, I had to find a place where I could be me and feel comfortable in being me and doing what I do, because it's so important. Just like how you were saying, you can be your authentic self, doing you, doing what you love. Like I feel like this is me right now. I'm doing what I love, making, you know, discoveries in science, just doing my thing. You know, like going into work whenever I feel like it and leaving whenever I feel like it, but still making, you know, still having like, yo, like at any point in time, I could just throw data at my boss, and he'll be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay, you're doing your thing." You know? So yeah,
You
bro.
got you got it made.
It's the life, man. It's the life. It's the life.
Yeah.
Yo. But hey, so I know I've been taking up a lot of the time. Trevor, Kojo, is there anything else you want to ask our special guest, the Hip Hop MD, before we get out of here?
I did want to ask you one question, Reynard. All right, so we, I used to do like science outreach pre-COVID. I would do in-person events, and summer of 2019 was pre-COVID. Yeah, summer of 2019, it's been a long time. I've had so many events planned, did all that, and really grew in person. You know, in-person outreach really grew for me. But after COVID hit, I wasn't able to transfer that online. I know a lot of SciComm is it's gearing towards social media because you can get the largest reach of people. So somebody that's just starting out, trying to get into showing their research and increasing their own outreach, how do what's your biggest tip for them to actually blow up like you did, or at least get to reach as many people as possible?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because I was doing, you know, right before the pandemic hit, right? It was actually like February of last year. I had all these different events slated, right? So like things were starting to move with my platform because I'd been doing a lot of stuff on my YouTube channel. I've been doing a lot of exploratory trips and made connections and different things like that. And I just gotten back from CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, made some really cool contacts there, had some really good video content that I put together. And I was like, okay, I could start now, you know, packaging my capabilities as far as one, being able to put some good, like dope, like social media content together, but then also be able to, you know, host and moderate panels and like all these different things. I had all this content that I built up over the course of the year, because that was my first step. All right, I made a pact at the beginning of 2019. Yeah, the beginning of 2019. I started out at CES 2019 that year. And I was like, I'm going to put out a new video every week, right? That was my goal, right? I set a goal of putting out every new video every week on my YouTube channel, just to try to grow my channel. Even though it's not like hugely grown, but like what it did was that it helped set this basis of consistency, right? And then it also helped me develop all of this content and all of these ideas from doing these videos every single week. And so by the time my goal was, okay, by next year, CES 2020, I'm going to, because at that CES in 2019, I was there working with as a brand ambassador for Google through this like through this like kind of casting thing that I put some on, because I was just doing random odd jobs here and there just to get some money in, right? And so I was like one of those, you know, the people that dress up and they give out swag material and stuff like that. I was doing that for Google at CES 2019. And my goal was like, and that was my first time at CES, and I'd always wanted to go. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm here. And I was playing like Clark Kent, right? I was handing out swag material for Google, and then during my 15-minute breaks, I'd switch into my lab coat and I'd go around and I'd start capturing content. I was filming different things. I was doing interviews. Then I'd run to the back room and put on my Google stuff and go start handing out material. And my goal was like, next year, I want to be here at CES with my own platform, not here working for somebody else, but working for myself, right? And so I was like, let me put a video out every single week. And I did that for that entire year, to the point where I had all this content pieced together, all these things packaged, and I started cold reaching out to all these different tech companies that I knew were going to be at CES. And one of them responded back to me and was like, we would love for you to come and capture content for us at our booth. And so they paid for my ticket and everything for CES. And so that's kind of set off that beginning of 2020 with all these different opportunities where I knew that this was something tangible that I could start doing some work, right? And then obviously the pandemic hit, right? And I had all these different things booked. I had all these assemblies booked. I had some work with some organizations here in LA booked that I was going to be speaking to different schools. I had a thing booked with NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers. They had their event that was going to be happening in March, end of March. I had that booked to do like a keynote presentation for them. And then everything just obviously went sideways. But what helped was that now I had all of this content that I'd built up, right? That I'd been kind of putting out here and there on my social platforms. And I was so used to making content and so used to packaging things together that like when the pandemic hit, it was like, okay, cool. I just got to be here editing. I'd been working on all my editing skills all year long, doing consistent videos. And so I just had all these different ideas and pieced together. And I think that's what really helped me spark a lot of my outreach work during that time when everything went virtual. A lot of people kind of, just kind of lost opportunities. And I just started scooping things up because I had prepared myself enough at that point in time to have enough tangible content that I could be able to put out there. A lot of stuff I repackaged, I repurposed, I put out there because, I was putting content out, but I wasn't really gaining traction. But now that everybody was so entranced into looking for virtual stuff, all of these different things that I'd done before were now like starting to take off. And so I was able to repackage a lot of content, and I was able to, get imagery and pull little snippets out from different things. And that really helped me take advantage of that virtual space. And I think for anybody that's really trying to take, figuring out that lane within virtual right now, is that at the end of the day, social media is these platforms, not just for you to, for everybody to shine and thirst trap or whatever. You can actually, the people are actually looking for these platforms for opportunities. They're trying to find ways to be able to reach students. Teachers are on these platforms looking for tips, looking for new things that they can show their students because the students either tuning them out or they're frustrated, they don't have the means. And I think early on, that's why I was able to have some success with my platform, was that there was a need for this. People were looking for content, looking for new ways to educate. And I'd already been doing this work. So I had all of these things already ready to go in the bag. And so that'd be my advice to anybody that's really trying to take advantage of this virtual space. Like, one, stay consistent. And keep using your creative mind to piece things together, and utilize social media not as the actual educational tool. Whatever niche you fall in, you can find a market for that niche. Like a lot of people might think like, oh, like there can't be people out there that love this fusion of hip hop and slide. Like, that's such a weird, obscure fusion. And I thought it was weird, obscure stuff, but I believed in it. And then I started, once you believe in something, people will see that and they'll start to gravitate towards it. So whatever niche that you're in, and whatever, thing that you find enjoyable, that you want to now showcase to people, like, package that, piece that together, and stay consistent with it. You will find people that are looking for that specific thing that you have an interest in. And no matter if you put all your effort into it, and you really try to have a mission for what it is that you want to accomplish with it, you'll find a way to have success in it. And I think those are the two things that really helped me grow my platform during this virtual space that we're in.
Nice. That's great stuff. That's great stuff. Dropping jewels out here.
Yeah.
Dropping jewels all day. I was dropping jewels in the last one. What? You know I was, Coach O. I don't. Oh my gosh.
That's what we're here for, right? That's why we have these platforms. Got to drop gems for the audience.
All day.
Hopefully they walk away inspired and motivated. And so
Exactly. I mean, and what helps is, I guess, even though I've been through a lot of shit, like, what helps is those experiences, having those experiences, because I can share those experiences with other people. The people with the best advice went through the most shit, and I noticed that my mother, she grew up in Detroit, like, seen some shit, been through some shit, but everybody comes to her for advice. and she gives the best advice. No matter what, no matter what it's about, she gives the best advice. And I ended up being more like her, and in that way because I, went through some shit, and I was like, yo, man, people for some reason people come up, they want to talk to me about their lives. I'm still trying to get used to that. Still trying to get used to people wanting to talk to me because I was just like, yo, I don't want to talk to you, man. I just want to. Sure, I just want to come into the gym and be, by myself and all that other stuff. I just want to walk down the street and someone not wanting to ask me for directions. I was like, does this look like a
You have that
direction?
advice face. Like this guy, this guy looks like he gives good advice.
It's like he got something to say. He looks trustworthy. Let me talk to him. Which, in my opinion, I was like, yo, I look trustworthy. I don't think so. I don't see it. But okay, that's fine.
Good quality. Good quality.
Yeah, but it's annoying one at times. At times. Man, I really do appreciate the gems. Kojo, do you have anything else? You got something? You good?
Just very quickly, what are one of your you're obviously like hip hop.
Wait, say that again? You cut out for a second.
You're obviously like in a hip hop music. So what's one of your favorite like hip hop influences, or like one of your favorite influences when you're like creating?
Oh, like you said, like artists?
Yeah.
Good question. Who am I listening to right now? I'm a big Joyner Lucas fan. I like Joyner Lucas. I've been bumping a lot of Joyner Lucas recently. I'm obviously a big J. Cole fan, and Kendrick as well too. And then I have my guilty pleasures. That Dumb and Dumber album with Key Glock and Young Dolph. That album snaps. I've been bumping that at the gym for the past couple of weeks. So I'm a wide variance. Moneybagg Yo, those Memphis cats are snapping right now. So I can't even be mad at the Memphis cats right now. They take it over. Moneybagg Yo's got some heat out right now, and Young Dolph. So definitely a wide range in my catalog.
Oh, that's great. I couldn't do it. I can't even listen to them. It's not. I don't know what it's like. So I remember I was talking to a girl once, and she was just like, "Yo, you don't ever. Why do you always want to listen? Why do you always want to think while you're listening to your music?" I was like, "Because I'm always thinking. What do you mean? Like I don't ever want to not think. Like it's. I don't know. But most of the time I'm listening to R&B. But when I do listen to my hip hop, shoot, we talking, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole. We're talking Wale. We're talking Lupe Fiasco. We're talking them. That's why I'm on. That's my tip. Like I'm all about let's empower us.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's just been my thing. Like, don't get me wrong. When I was growing up, now it was trap all day. You know what I'm saying? T.I. was always bumping. All right, always bumping back in the day. Those are good times.
I have a healthy mix. I be going back because I have my modes. I have my super ratchet modes, and I have my intellectual modes. There's certain modes where I gotta listen to some intellectual, some deep stuff. And there's some modes I just need that young Dolph. I just gotta have it, So I try to mix it up. And I gotta stay hip with the times too. So I got this content so I gotta listen to everything. At some point I gotta listen to everything. Otherwise I don't, I end up being that dad who's like, "Who? What's that?" I can't be that guy. I can't be the hip hop MD and not be aware of everybody that's snapping right now. So I gotta dive into all sorts of different areas.
Doe Baby, that's his name. Doe Baby. You say there's another baby, the little baby. Who is that? It's like why are they all babies? I don't understand.
Right. And then are you baby forever? Are you 40 when now you're like 30, 40 years old? Are you still be baby?
Right. Them suckers are about 30, 40 years old. I mean, well, they're about 20s, 30s. So, oh my God, hey, listen, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate everybody for joining us, the audience especially, but Trevor, Kojo, our special guest, the Hip Hop MD, for joining us. We're not going to take any more of your time. You're a busy man. You have all these things going on, man. Shoot, we all trying to get like you. We all trying to get like you one day, man. we
y'all,
are.
hey, y'all living the dreams right now. We all educated and working, so we live in the dreams at the end of the day. So there'll be many people that would love to be in all of our shoes right now.
Facts, major facts. Hey, but hey, listen, I appreciate y'all for listening, tuning in. If you're tuning in on YouTube, listen on Spotify, Apple Music, all the podcast platforms. I appreciate you guys for listening. Catch us next time on another episode of At the Bench with all these scientists who live. So catch you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.